Welcome to Caseback Watches, my name is Tim and the idea for this video came from a viewer. He asked me to make a video about the watches I've sold and now I regret it. Seller's remorse. Gone but not forgotten. The title was his idea as well. And I will present you 7 watches here, 7 watches I've sold and it was a stupid decision. And I will show you the images I've used for the transaction, for the advertising on Chrono24 and on the German Uhrforum. By the way, little wristwatch check here. I'm wearing the Stover Flieger Classic 40 on a Zeiger strap. And they're very special timepieces. We're not talking here about the Speedmaster or something you can pick up in a shop like that. And I will present you all those watches with my knowledge around the model and maybe some anecdotes about the transactions. And yeah, maybe you find this interesting. Maybe you can hear something here you haven't heard before. And I will stop rambling now. Let's get into it. Okay, here we are with the first watch. This is an Omega dress watch from 1947. I mean 1947, and now look at the condition. Of course you can find signs of usage, like those little scratches there under the lugs. But look at the dial, look at the hands. The condition was outstanding. And believe it or not, I've bought this watch, this 35mm Omega dress watch from 1947, bumper automatic, for 320 euros on eBay. Absolutely insane transaction. And I showed the watch to my watchmaker, of course, and he examined everything in detail and he couldn't believe it that this dial still is original. But there were no signs for a refurbished dial, so we were really sure then that this thing is original. And it worked outstandingly well. I mean, sometimes with bumper automatics you can have some problems, but that they are not very efficient, that you have to use the hand winding mechanism to have enough power on the wheel, but not in this case. The bumper worked fine and the watch kept time, was a very precise timepiece, and so everything great. And I wore this watch for a few weeks then. And then I was kind of greedy. I advertised it on Chrono24 with these images here, and then somebody from Italy offered me a relatively high amount for this watch. Yeah, and then I was a little bit greedy and I've sold it. And I mean, what a stupid idea. Today you could sell this watch for even more money I received back then. And so really, really stupid decision. Yeah, and I loved everything, the crisp dial and especially the slender form of the case and those slender lugs. Yeah, great timepieces. An idiot decision to sell it. And this is the classic vintage Omega Genéve. I've made an entire video about that watch, or about that type of watches, how to buy a vintage Omega Genéve. And I thought, yeah, I can't sell it because I wanted the money, and I was totally confident that I can buy this watch every time I want because I know everything about it. And it was very arrogant, very stupid to think that, because now I have a Google alert for this reference. I mean, you can pay pretty much over the market price to get in possession of that watch, but that's not what I want. I want to pay the market price for it. And what I really love here is yeah, again, the uncluttered dial with this champagne tone and this clear design around it. And back then in the video I've made a comparison to the Tintin comic books and the Linclair of Hergé. And this is exactly what this watch is for me. It's a clear link to a very clear, a very uncluttered design where everything is in order, where everything is on its place. And those watches are pretty robust. I'm not sure if they're waterproof or watertight or what else, but you can wear them day to day without any problem. And the good thing is the movement can be serviced by independent watchmakers. Here you can see the movement. This is the legendary 565 movement. And there are even parts available, new old stock parts, which is not the case if we're talking about the bumper from the last watch. So great watch. I sold it to a gentleman in the United Kingdom. DHL lost it. Took me, I think, 12 weeks to get it back. And then the seller asked me, Tim, you have said in the video that you don't want to sell the watch anymore. shall we cancel the entire transaction? But the guy had waited 12 weeks for his watch, and so I thought, okay, no, you cannot break your word here, and so let's proceed. But wasn't a good decision. Okay, the special Eterna here. Eterna 1935 in 18 karat gold. 18 karat gold, and I mean, look at this case. Look at this case. It was relatively small, but of course heavy because of the gold, and yeah, follows the classic models from the 30s here in a version with an ETA in it, automatic ETA. And it was everything fine with the watch. It ran perfectly, and I've bought it on eBay for, if I recall correctly, 1,000 euro. And I loved it in a way, but I couldn't value it. And you know why? I mean, this sounds incredibly stupid, but because it was summer. It was summer, it was hot. It was not the time to wear such a delicate tank. And so I clearly didn't see what I have there. And then I sold it to a gentleman in Poland. For exactly the same amount I have paid. I've bought this watch on eBay, I've sold it on Chrono24, so I haven't lost money there. But with the next fall and the next winter, I realized with these images here that I've done something really, really stupid. I mean, look at this watch, look at this Caseback. Massive gold with a gold stamp and everything. Such a beautiful watch. And this line is available in steel and with bracelets and black dial, white dial, but they are not so beautiful like this. This particular watch, the Eterna Matic Historique 1935 in 18 karat gold. Okay, I mean, tell me, have you ever seen a white like that? So crystal clear, at the same time totally free from disturbing dazzles or something like that. It looks clean, deep, but not cheap and flashy. And so this is the perfect white. This is really the perfect white. And it comes with this chronograph here, a relatively small and fat watch, 36 millimeters, and I think the thickness was 14, like a little gem on your wrist. But look at that, look at this white together with the hands, and especially like the dot on the chronograph hand. So beautiful, or the dots close to the numerals. Such a beautiful watch with a substantial crown, substantial pushes, great case form. And yeah, there was a time I was really into chronographs with the size 7750, and I've bought this watch again on eBay and sold it on Chrono24 to a gentleman in Sweden, I think. Yeah, in Sweden. Because at that time I had too much watches, and I think I had 2 or 3 watches with the 7750 movement. And so I thought, come on, I'm not this super chronograph type of guy. I want more dress watches, other type of watches, let's flip it. And I've made a little money with it, but not overly important for me. But then now studying those images here, this was a really, really stupid decision to sell it and to grab the money. I mean, it wasn't substantial money. Didn't make any difference. And so, yeah, stupid, stupid thing. In general, Oris alarm watches are not super rare. You can find them on eBay, you can find them on Chrono24, but mostly the inferior models, because they came with different bezels, different platings, different cases. Most of them are gold plated, some are chrome plated even, and very few are in steel, stainless steel, and very, very few in stainless steel with an 18 karat gold bezel, and this is exactly what you see here. This watch comes from the, let's say, I think 2000s, 2000, 2002 maybe, and you see in immaculate condition. I've bought this on eBay and I really enjoyed it because it was such a beauty. I mean, look at those images. But same thing like the Omega Genéve, I said to myself, well, I've owned 3 or 4 of those watches, Oris alarm watches. I can't buy them all the time I want them, and so let's flip it. And so I've sold it on the Urforum, and there a gentleman bought it for his wife as a gift, and yeah, and I thought, no problem, I will pick that up if I'm in the mood again. And yeah, it was the only time I've seen this particular reference on eBay or on Chrono24. So damn it. There was a time I was really into Oris because I really liked their designs from the 90s, let's say between 1995 and 2000. And one of my favorite watches is the Oris pointer date, but also I love this chronograph. This is a classic chronograph with the 7750 value 7750 in it. Relatively thick, relatively small at the same time. So case diameter here was 36 millimeters, and the watch is it's thick, so it's a little gem feeling, like little stone on your wrist. But I love that. I love this, all those details on the dial. This was something on the older Oris watches I really enjoy, those details and those engravings, and every surface on your dial has something, offers something to you. And so great timepiece. And I also love the form of the pushers and the form of the crown. I mean, if there is a dress chronograph, then it's like something like that here. And I've sold this watch to a guy on Chrono24. And there I've learned, by the way, he explained me that there are two versions of the 7750. Sometimes you have it with some plastic parts in, and the newer versions have only metal parts in. And I think some jewels more, and they are more wanted, of course. But for me, it was all the same, because, I mean, those watches all those movements are super reliable. Every watchmaker can service them, and so it's not a big risk. And you can find quite some Oris chronographs from this period of time with this movement, with a variation in designs, black dials, cathedral hands, or this white dial, or super crisp white dials. And they're relatively cheap. You can pick them up on eBay. I mean, it depends on the condition, but something between 350 and 450 euros. And so, yeah, relatively affordable. Yeah, killer watch, killer watch. In general, I'm not the biggest fan of black dials, but this one, I mean, look at that. There's really something going on this dial, but at the same time, yeah, it's very, very pure. And look at the lume, marvelous. The only problem here was that the lume was broken on the minute hand. I didn't like that too much. And of course I went to a jeweler, Oris AD, and I wanted only to buy a new hand. And of course they said, no, you have to pay for the damn service and everything. You have to pay your 1,000 bucks for the service, although the watch was perfectly in order. It was only the damn lume there. And what I love here is the size, 38 millimeters, together with the form of the case and the finishing. You may notice there the lugs are brushed, and then the bezel is high polished, and felt pretty damn good on the wrist. The only thing I didn't like is that you have no mark on the numerals. You have no minute mark on the numerals, and so sometimes it was a little bit tricky to read the time, but overall great piece. And I've bought this on eBay in Italy, and I've sold it on Chrono24, and somebody reached out to me and said, hey, exactly this watch was stolen a few weeks ago from my house, and I want to replace it, and please sell it to me. And then I thought, oh damn, what if this is the stolen watch? Then I'm in big trouble here. And so I called the guy and I asked him when the robbery took place, or the burglary took place, and he said to me, yeah, such and such date, and there the watch was in my possession, and so no danger that I sent him the stolen watch. And then he said, oh, this is my watch, thank you very much, but I don't want to pay you now because this is my possession. And yeah, and he was very happy with the watch, and I realized then too late that I was very happy with it too. And yeah, another stupid decision. Zenith El Primero. Okay, those were my seven watches, and now I'm very curious about your experience. Post it in the comments, let us know what kind of watch you have sold and now you think, ah, damn it. And if you like, join me on Instagram. I show their watches, of course, but also other images and expressions I find interesting. And now let me thank you very much for your attention, and maybe until next time.